I'm Kevin Carey, Superintendent of Schools for School District 201 in Westmont. And on November 4th, the school district has a referendum question on the ballot. And so throughout the month of October, we are having informational meetings for our community members so that they can find out about the referendum before they go to the polls on November 4th. And so we're recording this presentation so that it can be posted on our website and on YouTube, so that if we have community members that can't make a meeting, at least this way they can hear the information. But basically what I'm going to do for you this evening is I'm going to run through the process that the district went through, so give you some background information on our facility planning, as well as some of the projects we've completed, what our next set of projects are that we need to address in our district, how we plan on funding those, and then ultimately what the cost will be, and hopefully at the same time you'll learn about the benefits of the projects. But basically, in terms of background information, our district, as you can see from the slide, our district has been involved in facility planning since 2007. And we've had several committees involved, and we've had community members, we've had parents, we've had staff, board members involved, and we've had several different committees take a look at our facilities and make recommendations. And ultimately, they came up with a 3-tier plan, some short-range projects that the district thought they could fund internally, and then some mid-range and long-range projects that we knew that we wouldn't have the finances in order to accomplish those and would ultimately have to go to our community for. In the summers of 2012 and 2013, the district did accomplish those short-range projects. And we were able to do that with our current debt service extension base, which basically meant that we were able to issue bonds for those projects, and we had the ability to repay those bonds without, again, asking for an approval through a referendum from our community. The projects that we were able to accomplish, if you take a look at, for instance, at Manning, we had asbestos abatement. We also have a new computer lab, a new media center as a result. We added some additional classroom space because of the number of students that we had going through Manning. We needed additional classroom space. Small group instruction areas, as we are going down the road of response to intervention and some of the changes that we're making with our curriculum that requires some opportunities for small group instruction. And then we added window air conditioning units to all of our classrooms. At Miller, pretty much the same projects we had at Miller. We had the asbestos abatement, new media center, new computer lab. We did add a kindergarten classroom, and then the small group instruction areas, and then also the window units, the window unit air conditioning. At the Westmont High School, we had to replace boilers. We also added classrooms to all of our windows to all of our exterior classrooms, and that's in preparation to the next set of projects that we have. And then we also added a wireless network to our high school, anticipating one-to-one technology, which we're implementing in our district. We knew that we had to improve the infrastructure at the high school, and so we improved the wireless network. At South, we relocated our district office from Manning to South, and that was to allow us to expand the classrooms at Manning and then also provide the space for the computer lab at Manning. We also created an early childhood center, expanded early childhood center, so we're able to provide more educational opportunities for 3 to 5-year-olds. And then we also had the asbestos abatement. At the junior high, we again had to work on the wireless network infrastructure. And so we did that again in anticipation of one-to-one technology, which we've implemented this year at the junior high. After we went through those set of projects, we then had another facility committee. And one of the common themes that we've always had, if you go back to 2007, it was true, it's true today, but one of the common themes that we've had is that we need to improve the safety and security of our buildings. And even in terms of the committee that was involved in the planning in 2008, 2009, they thought it was such a high priority it should be accomplished in 1 to 3 years. Again, the district didn't have the funds at the time to accomplish those projects. In 2011, again, it was recognized as a priority by the facilities committee. And so the next set of projects that we're focusing on have to do with improving the safety and security of our buildings. We're also focusing on increasing accessibility, ADA compliance, and then improving our learning environments. The one thing that's occurring, and when we look at these projects, it's not like one project is separate from the other. But in the process of improving safety and security at the junior high and the high school, a natural consequence of that is an improved learning environment. When we're improving the safety and security for Manning and Miller, it also allows us an opportunity to improve the handicap accessibility of Miller and Manning, and so we're able to take advantage of that opportunity. So the primary focus is safety and security, but there's also going to be some additional benefits from that in terms of the handicap accessibility and the improved learning environments. The projects that we have, or the proposed solutions for Miller, we would have create a secured student and visitor entrance at Miller. Those who are familiar with Miller and Manning know that if you enter our buildings, you pretty much can enter any hallway, you can enter any classroom without ever having to go to the main office. And so we wanted to change how the visitor student entrance is at Miller in order to create a more secure entryway. We need to improve the handicap accessibility and ADA compliance, and so as we're adding that space on for the secure entrance, that provides us an opportunity to add an elevator at Miller, and we'll also be able to do the same at Manning. Right now, in order to have someone who is in a wheelchair, in order to move them from one floor to the other, we have to rely on lifts within the buildings. And they work, for the most part, well for our students. But for adults, because there's a weight restriction, sometimes adults are not able to use the lift. And so we're trying to be cognizant of the fact that we do have individuals that need access to our buildings, and we want to be able to provide that access. We're also going to add ADA compliant door handles to our classrooms. Right now, the door handles are not ADA compliant, and the other issue with those gets back to the safety. They're not able to be locked very easily. There's not a push button lock, and so when you're in a lockdown situation, the quickest, easiest way to lock those doors is to have a push button locking mechanism. And so we want to change the door handles in order to, again, improve the safety and security. Improve fire safety, sprinkling system at Miller, as well as our stairwells right now do not have fire doors on those. And so if you did have a fire, the stairwell would actually act as a chimney, and smoke would rise up through the stairwell to all floors. And it's typically smoke that ends up being a problem in the case of you have a fire in your building. And so by adding fire doors that would close automatically in the event of a fire, we'd prevent that from happening, and again, provide our students and staff additional time to evacuate the building and in a more safe fashion. The art and music room at Miller also needs to be improved. Right now, that was a space that we haven't been able to address at Miller, and so we want to improve that space. And then again, anytime that we can add additional instructional or meeting space is also an advantage for our students and staff. At Manning, very similar projects. We want to have the safe, secure entry for our students. Once again, once you enter Manning, you can enter the entire building. You don't have to go through the main office. And so we want to correct that. In addition, we want to locate the main entrance on the Linden side. Right now, it's on the opposite side of the building. So literally, if a student is arriving later in the day, or if we have visitors to our building, they have to enter through the alley on the back of the school, and so we want to change that. So again, it's safer to enter in off of Linden. We want to improve the handicap accessibility and ADA compliance, and so as we're providing that safe entry for our students, it's also an opportunity for us to add an elevator at Manning that again will give parents, students, community members full access to all floors of our building. We also have the ADA compliant door handles. We do have to replace the door handles, and again, replace that locking mechanism so that it's easily locked in the case that the building has to go into a lockdown. Improve fire safety, sprinkling system for fire suppression for Manning, as well as fire doors so that, again, we don't have stairwells that have a chimney effect in the event of a fire. And then handicap accessible restrooms at Manning are a priority, and again, because of the work that we need to do for the entry of the building, that provides us an opportunity to also address the handicap accessible restrooms. At Westmont Junior High, Westmont Junior High was built as an open classroom concept, and so we still have classrooms that are open at the junior high. So again, if you're locking down your building, there is no door to lock, and so those students have to be evacuated to another classroom in the building. And so we want to create more traditional classroom spaces that you have a door that you can lock. The other thing that is true about the junior high, because over time we've tried to address the open classroom concept. Some classrooms are behind walls and a door, but the classroom space is not uniform throughout the building. So we have some very large classrooms, some smaller classrooms, and so this would give us an opportunity to balance the square footage of our classrooms. In order to accomplish that, in order to close the classrooms, we do have to do significant changes to the heating, air conditioning, ventilation, and then also lighting as a result. And so the mechanicals need significant renovation. And then also the ADA compliant door handles as well. At the high school, one of the reasons why we did the windows at the high school is because, again, it was designed as an open classroom concept. There were no windows for the exterior classrooms, and we want to enclose our classrooms. And when we do that, then we want natural light in those exterior classrooms. So we added windows so that the exterior classrooms will have natural light once they're enclosed. Again, enclosing the classrooms will not only add to safety for the building, because now you can lock down your building, but also it improves the educational environment, because if you're in an open classroom and there's an activity happening next to you, it's very easy for students to be distracted. And so this way, the students will be able to focus more on teaching and learning, and at the same time we're improving the overall safety of the building by enclosing the classrooms. The high school also has a similar challenge as Manning and Miller, that once you are buzzed into the building, you pretty much have free access to the entire building. And so we want to create a more secured visitor student entrance, similar to our junior high. If you're familiar with our junior high, you get buzzed into a vestibule and you must go into the main office. You do not have access to the rest of the building. So that's the type of entrance we want to create for our high school and for Manning and for Miller, so that, again, we improve the safety of our schools. Anything that we can do for our schools to improve safety is obviously a benefit, and also a deterrent for anyone who has ill will designed for our schools. The high school also will require significant changes to the mechanicals, the heating, air conditioning, ventilation, the electrical, because, again, as we enclose those spaces, we need to address those. The lockable classrooms, again, once we have the classrooms behind walls and a door, then they'll be lockable. And then the other challenge at the high school, right now there are 3 separate sprinkling systems at the high school, which is a unique challenge for fire departments to respond to. And so by suppressing that into one system, it makes it much easier for fire department to respond and to handle any fire that may be there. These are basic floor plans that we have for the schools. The blue area that's at the top of the screen, that's what will be the secure entry for, in this case, it's at Miller. And so we'll have that secure entry created so that, again, when you enter the building, you'll be buzzed in. The main office will have line of sight with the entrance, and then a visitor has to go through the office before they be allowed to enter the rest of the building. In that area as well, we'll also have the elevator that will allow access to the entire building. The green and red areas, those are areas that will also be renovated, either in terms of asbestos abatement or in terms of the fire suppression that we mentioned. That would also take place in the hallways. At Manning, the blue area at the bottom of the screen would be the area that we would create for the secure entry for visitors and for students. Again, office would have line of sight with visitors, and then you would only be able to enter the office. You would not have access to the building until the office allowed you access to the building. The other thing that we want to create at Manning that we currently have at Miller, there's a drive that visitors can pull in to drop off students. You could also allow buses to do pickup and drop off. Currently, we don't have that at Manning. Right now, our pickup and drop off is on Linden. So we'd want to create a drive where cars could pull in off of Linden to have student pickup and drop off. We could also allow bus pickup and drop off there. And then we're also considering across the street having visitor parking so that our visitors no longer have to park behind the building and enter through the alley, but they'd be able to park in front of the building and enter through the true entrance to the school. The junior high, basically the renovation will be, again, enclosing the current open classrooms and then balancing class size, the class sizes, and then also the mechanical work that would have to be accomplished. At the high school, the pink area that's at the middle top of the slide, that's where the new student entry, visitor entry would be created. Again, it would be a secure entry. You would be buzzed in, would only have access to the office. You would have to be buzzed into the rest of the building to have access to the rest of the building. The open classrooms would be enclosed, and then again, we would do some reconfiguration of classrooms to take full benefit of all the square footage within the building, and then significant changes to the mechanicals in order to be able to enclose those classrooms. In terms of the cost for the project, and these are just the broad numbers, for Miller it would be approximately $4.1 million, for Manning approximately $8.4 million, for the junior high approximately $5.3, and for our high school approximately $8.6. So the total for the district would be approximately $26.4 million. In terms of how we would fund those, the $26 million is not an expenditure that the district has revenue on hand for, and so we do have to go to our taxpayers. And so this is the referendum question that we're asking on November 4th, and basically it's asking our community permission to improve the sites and safety, security of and alter, repair, and equip school buildings and issue bonds of said school district in the amount of $26 million. And the question, we had a referendum last spring, and this is a different question. The question we asked last spring was asking for a increase in our debt service extension base. And that question was not successful, and the feedback that we got was that our community was concerned that once the district accomplished what they needed to with the bonds, because they had the increased debt service extension base, the district could turn around and issue additional bonds without ever having to go back to the taxpayers. And as one individual termed it, it was like giving the district a blank check. And because we heard that feedback, we did listen to that, and we did change our question so that now we're asking for a specific amount in terms of bonds, $26 million. The question outlines what we can do with those bonds. We can't issue the bonds and then pay teacher salaries. We can't use it for our education fund, our transportation fund. The only thing that we'll be able to use those bonds for is for the projects that we've been discussing. And so we feel that this question hopefully will reduce that fear that some community members had, but truly the bonds would be used for the projects that we've discussed. In terms of the cost to taxpayers, and on this slide it's usually the column on the right-hand side that everybody is concerned about. And for a home of a market value of $250,000, the cost would be $345 a year for the life of the bonds. And if your home is valued at a higher amount, we do have on our website a calculator in which you can input the value of your home, and it will generate what your annual payment would be on those bonds. And so that amount won't change. It will remain the $345 for the life of those bonds. This next slide just shows the impact of those bonds, the $26 million. The area that's blue, that's currently the outstanding bonds that the district has. And so the green area is the additional $26 million that we've been talking about. And so you can see that it will take the district's current bond debt from approximately $1.2 million to a little bit over $3 million. You'll also notice that in 2018, those bonds that we have currently outstanding would essentially be paid off. And so then that amount does drop off, and the green again is the $26 million that we would have until those are paid off. Theoretically, that those bonds could be paid off, and so then you would see a decrease in the tax rate. The district does have the option, though, of those are non-referendum bonds, of issuing bonds. And so The total bond amount, though, the outstanding bond amount, would never exceed a little over $3 million. It would remain constant. So there is the probability that it could decrease, but there's also the probability that it could remain the same as it would be today. In terms of the impact to taxpayers, if we're successful, November 4th, 2014, then, and we were to issue the bonds this spring, then taxpayers would see that impact the spring of 2015. That's pretty much is the information regarding our referendum question that we have on the ballot for November 4th. On our website, CUSD201.org, we have the same PowerPoint. We also have some frequently asked questions. As a matter of fact, there was an individual that was asking a question earlier this evening and was looking for a little bit more detail, cost, rather than just the big number that we're talking about in terms of 26 million. And so we will be posting that information on our website so that for individual buildings, if somebody wants to see a little bit more of a breakdown of how we get to the 26 million, they'll be able to see that on our website. We also have additional informational meetings coming up as well. We have one on October 22nd at 7 o'clock p.m. at South Elementary. We have one on October 27th, 7 o'clock p.m. at Westmont Junior High. And then on October 30th at 7 p.m. at Westmont High School. And so we're hoping that if you are viewing this, that you can encourage others to either view the information or attend one of our informational meetings, especially if they have a question that they have and would like to have answered. If they could attend one of our informational meetings, we'd be happy to answer those for you. Thank you.